At Camp David yesterday, President Trump was asked about the Hamas disarmament deal, and his reply tells you more than you might suspect.
It's a great breakthrough. Nobody thought that would be possible to disarm Hamas. That shows you how much success we're having with Iran. Because if you go 4 months ago, 5 months ago, a deal like that would have been impossible.
He explained the breakthrough in Gaza by pointing to Iran. Now, the political commentariat will say that Hamas isn't yet disarmed, Israel isn't yet out of Gaza, and the IRGC is still lobbing missiles. That's all true, and it's all beside the point. Donald Trump has changed the strategic terrain of the whole region, and conflicts that looked frozen for decades suddenly have a way out. He does it in ways nobody sees coming. And the man who hands him the weapon to do it, it isn't the Secretary of War or the Secretary of State. The weapon isn't the one you're picturing. And the target isn't one nation or one group. I'm Susan Cooke, and I've been fighting that system for over 50 years. And if you want to get in on that fight, hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons so we can stay in touch and expand our reach on YouTube. Here's what I'm covering today. First, I'm going to show you two breakthroughs in the Middle East that almost no one thought were possible and what they share. Second, the weapon that made them happen and why the other side fears it more than an army. And third, the proof that none of this was improvised and the blueprint was drawn long before the first shots were fired 5 months ago. So let's start with Gaza and Hamas. On Thursday, President Trump dropped a post on Truth Social, which took everyone by surprise. He said, "Today, the Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for a complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. This is a monumental step toward lasting peace and security." Everyone knows that Hamas agreeing to disarm is only the first step, but they've never agreed. They've never taken that step, and now they have. This was so unexpected that even Joe Scarborough didn't have time to spin it, and he acknowledged how unprecedented it was.
Hamas, I'm told by this official, has agreed to give up weapons to cite the location of all the tunnels that are throughout Gaza and have agreed to a decommissioning. How is it possible, I asked? The answer was that Arab states united against Hamas, Arab allies of the United States, all put pressure on Hamas to accept this deal and let them know that they were completely isolated. In exchange, they have been given amnesty, full and complete amnesty, if they accept the terms of this deal, which they say they have.
A little later in the same interview, Scarborough pointed out that Bibi Netanyahu would not want to be in a position of, quote, blowing up what would really be the most historic peace deal of Donald Trump's 2 terms. Yes, he called it the most historic peace deal of Donald Trump's 2 terms. Joe Scarborough is not a man who has spent the last 10 years rooting for Donald Trump, but this is a man who can't explain what he just watched. And the fact that he can't explain it, well, that's actually the story. Here's what he can't explain. Hamas didn't fold to bombs or outrage. Hamas folded when the checks stopped clearing. The money that has kept it operational, the Iranian pipeline, cash moving through fronts and proxies and cutouts, this has been taken apart piece by piece, not with airstrikes, with instruments most people have never heard of. Hold on to that thought, because Hamas isn't the whole story. As Marco Rubio said yesterday at the Camp David cabinet meeting, the governments of Israel and Lebanon haven't met for 30 years, and now they are talking. How did that happen? Because the Trump administration is drying up the political and economic support for Hezbollah, the force which has kept the conflict going. So what do these 2 theaters have in common, Hamas and Hezbollah? The same money and the same weapons from Iran. But here's the part that matters. It's actually bigger than Iran.
There ain't a darker night than the ones I've seen, when you're too damn tired to even dream. but you come alive when the doghouse screams. Oh, the oil field's dark as the money is green. There ain't a headache like the ones that come between a 2-week hitch and a 7-day run. Blood, sweat, spit, and a filthy tongue. Oh, the whole field hurts like a snake bite stung. So I'll send a card for Christmas and birthdays missed, and I'll sign the papers for the woman that I couldn't kiss, and I'll take the blame if I don't make the good Lord's list. But when I die, I hope they know it was all for them, 'cause I'd do it all over again. There ain't nothing in the world like earning these stripes, they're getting put out of work when the price ain't right. Yeah, I left my soul, my pain, and my strife. Oh, the oil-filled holes are filled with my life. So I'll send a card for Christmas and birthdays missed, and I'll sign the papers for the woman that I couldn't kiss, and I'll take the blame if I don't make the good Lord's list. But when I die, I hope they know it was all for them, 'cause I'd do it all over again. This heart had steel toes on my feet, built the roughneck man that I'll always be. Yeah, and I did it all for my family. Oh, rig up, rig down, this patch just might bury me.
So what has changed to make these breakthroughs possible? On July 27th, a senior administration official told Axios this: "Intelligence is picking up that the Iranians are complaining they can't pay their fighters. Why? Because of the financial pressures, because of Treasury, because of what Scott Bessent is doing." The same official said that the regime is in danger of runs on the banks and gasoline shortages. This is in one of the most oil-rich countries on earth. Then he said this: "They're more scared of Treasury than the War Department. More afraid of the Treasury Secretary than the Secretary of War." That is the sentence that the whole Iranian cheering section, from the corporate press to the anti-Trump influencers, can't process. So how did a Treasury Secretary do what carrier groups couldn't do alone? For decades, sanctions on Iran were theater. A little pressure here, a little there, never a real threat to the game. A game where imperial control of oil prices depended on keeping the Middle East unstable and the Strait of Hormuz on edge. Peter Navarro calls it the terror premium. This administration threw the playbook out. It didn't go after Iran's economy in the abstract. It went after the machinery that funds Iran's operations abroad and at home, the IRGC's external networks, the accounts and front companies and cutouts that moved money to Hamas and to Hezbollah. They called it economic fury. And over a matter of months, Treasury has designated more than 1,000 Iranian individuals, ships, and companies. The oil trade, the shadow banks, the shipping, the insurance, the crypto, every route the regime used to move a dollar, shut down one at a time. Now, follow those designations to where the money actually lives. They don't lead to Tehran. They lead to London, to hedge funds in Knightsbridge, to shell companies in the British Virgin Islands, to the London insurance market that covered the tankers until it decided to cut it off. Iran didn't build that offshore machine. It rented it, which means every node that Treasury shuts down isn't just squeezing Iran. Iran is a customer. The machine is the target. And we've been showing you who owns that machine for a very long time. The economic damage speaks for itself. Iran's currency has collapsed 2 million to the dollar. Inflation is near 70%. Now, you may be able to recover from a bombing campaign, but you can't run a war when the payroll stops clearing. And when the payroll stops for Tehran, it stops for Hamas and Hezbollah too. The weapon that broke Iran's proxy network wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a diplomatic ultimatum. It was a set of financial instruments aimed with a precision the other side never saw coming, because they never imagined an American administration that understood what it was actually fighting.